We are on our merry way. We are on our merry way.
Now that that's out of the way, we can get on with this week's video. We got the Christmas tree up here. We put it up now. The Halloween decorations are long gone. Gizmo's out because Gizmo is Christmas. And Jack and Sally stay out because, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween and a Christmas movie. I don't care what anyone says. So let's get on with today's video. I love magic, especially sleight of hand magic, as you can probably tell by what you've just seen and what you've seen throughout the videos that I've done here if you've been following me at all. And magic means a lot to me. It shaped my life in a lot of ways. My dad did magic when I was a kid. He still does a little bit, but he used to do, like, you know, magic shows for my birthday party, and that was actually what got me started in magic, was my dad. But growing up, you know, I had a little bit of an interest with it. I didn't really perform much. It was, you know, kind of just a thing to myself until later on, at which point it really, like I said, it changed my life because I have Tourette Syndrome. I also have a lot of social anxiety and issues with that as well. I may have mentioned it before if you've seen some of my videos. You probably don't know it by watching because, well, a couple reasons. One, I finally found a medication that really works well for me, but also magic. Magic did a lot towards helping me with my Tourette's. When I was younger, my dad said that I used to, like, vibrate on the couch. They didn't know what was wrong with me because they assumed Tourette's was hereditary, and neither of them had Tourette's, and it is genetic, but so it went undiagnosed for many years, and it wasn't until I was in my teens that I actually got a formal diagnosis. But it was also in my teens that magic really started to make a massive impact in me socially, because not only did I have trouble with the tics of the Tourette's. If you don't know, Tourette's is a movement disorder. That means that I have tics, which I will do funny actions or, you know, make faces, and also have verbal tics, so I would make noises as well. You probably don't notice a lot. I actually edit a lot of that stuff out of my videos. I'm going to try and not do that with this one. So I'm going to try and leave in some of the tics. That wasn't even a tic, I just had an itch there. So you probably haven't noticed many of my tics because I usually cut them out, and also because magic actually has gone a long way to helping me with my tics. And I'm not the only one who's actually experienced that. It's interesting. Jason Michaels, I believe, is a magician with Tourette's. He was on Fool Us a few years ago, sharing his story with a very similar experience where when performing, it's almost like the tics kind of go away in a lot of ways. And there's been a couple of comedians and musicians and singers on America's Got Talent that also kind of shared a similar experience. So it's not really a surprise, I guess, that the magic helped me in that regard. But it wasn't just that I was able to do something without ticking when I was focusing on my magic, but it actually allowed me to communicate with people. Because not just the tics, but also just a social anxiety. I was very shy and quiet growing up. And obviously the Tourette's had a large part to do with that. I didn't even realize it till years later, but, you know, it affected the way I spoke. You know, I spoke almost like a stutter at times, and I was just shy and apprehensive, and I was constantly, you know, making weird faces and sniffling. And so, you know, it created a certain barrier for me socially with other people. And, you know, it was definitely a hurdle growing up. So when I remember actually when I was in high school, it was in drama class, and I was just practicing my cups and balls. We were all sitting on the floor. I don't remember what the teacher was doing. It may have been off getting something ready and we were waiting, but I remember I was just practicing with cups and balls quietly to myself, sitting on the floor. And then I remembered, I think, doing the final loads and lifting up, and then hearing audible gasps across the room. And I didn't realize that other students were watching me. And then I realized, oh, in that moment, that without saying a word, I had communicated to somebody across the room. And that was very eye-opening for me. Because like I said, not only was I able to do something without as prominent of ticking with the you know, but also that I could communicate to somebody without even speaking, which was, you know, because I had a lot of trouble just even understanding social cues as well. Even today, I have a lot of issues with social cues and just understanding, what people are maybe meaning or intending. So that was, compounded that sort of social communication barrier I had. And so when I was able to reach out to somebody just by doing a trick and not even realize that I was, that changed everything for me. And obviously, like many, I think, like many magicians who are sort of nervous and socially anxious growing up and awkward, we use magic as a crutch. And obviously that kind of became what it was for me in high school as well. It was, not only did it break down massive doors for me in terms of allowing me to communicate with people, but it also became something that I could hide behind, which was sort of a double-edged sword there. So I kind of had to learn to not just hide behind the magic, but then to use the magic to kind of let myself come through. But yeah, like I said, now noticing when I'm performing and you can see here with some clips, when I'm performing for people, the tics are all but gone. And I'll still have the occasional tic. It's not just the magic. I've found some medication that works really well for me. But even with that, I still tic plenty. Actually, I noticed during the pandemic, wearing a mask would set off all the tics around my face. One of the reasons that I think it took so long for me to get diagnosed was that because a lot of my tics were focused around my nose and my mouth, and I have asthma and allergies, so I was already sniffling and coughing constantly. So the fact that I also had verbal tics that included, throat clearing, it just sounded like my asthma cough, or blending in with my allergies and my coughs, and sniffling, that was a tic that sounds exactly like, just having allergies. So I didn't realize a lot of those were tics because they blended in. And also because of that, I didn't realize how I appeared to other people. So growing up, I didn't realize for the longest time that people assumed that I was on coke because I was twitchy and always touching my nose and sniffling. So, when I eventually realized it, it kind of became an ongoing running joke. But growing up, I had no idea. Even into my early 20s, I didn't realize that was how I was coming across, or that was how people were perceiving me. So it was interesting because when I wasn't doing magic, those tics were still pretty prevalent enough that people did, start having those ideas about me and misconceptions. So I could do some tricks and magic and then communicate, and then they'd, want to talk to me, start asking me questions, and then I'd have to communicate without the magic, and then of course my tics would be much more prevalent. I'd be sniffling and making faces and touching my nose, and I was just being me. And when I didn't have cards in my hands, people just thought I was on cocaine. So magic definitely played a massive role in allowing me to start reaching out to other people and start making friends, and in a certain way helped me start talking to the woman who would become my wife. Even when I was 18, 19 years old, I was still very, and still am actually, very social and awkward. So obviously it's not like magic was a cure for my Tourette's or my social anxiety, but it absolutely helped me come out of my shell and form relationships that I never would have. So yeah, magic absolutely has a very special place in my heart as a result of that. And even without that, just with the fact that I got interested in magic because of my father, doing magic before me, but the fact that it also allowed me to, make friends and actually start talking to people. Because I was so quiet that, I was bullied plenty growing up. But yeah, without magic, I don't think I'd be here. And that's weird to say. Because yeah, with the anxiety and the OCD, and I have OCD as well, and Tourette's, I had depression as well, and all those things are kind of comorbid issues can then compound each other. And the isolation that can have on you, it can be lonely. And it's weird feeling like you don't have a voice. Tourette's is interesting because it's the tics are like itches. It's like having an itch that you have to scratch. So it's not like Parkinson's, for example, where it's completely involuntary. It's more that you have a compulsive urge to do it, to make that face, or to clear your throat, or to make a mouth fart, or a noise, or to say a word, and you still have to. It's weird to say, because you don't choose to do it, but in the same way that it's like scratching an itch, I can hold off scratching an itch, but the itch doesn't go away, and the urge just intensifies until eventually I scratch that itch. And that's kind of what it's like with Tourette's. That you'll have, it's like, I have to do that. I have to make that noise or make that action, and it's weird because even though you feel like you have to do it, it's also unpredictable. It's like you don't even necessarily know. Like I don't realize that I'm making a tic sometimes, or don't necessarily know how the sound will come out, and so it's weird. It's like you don't have control of your body in a certain way. You've lost a degree of free will. And when that also combines with struggling to talk to people, because not only do you have trouble getting the words out because you're shy, you're quiet, but just because you physically have trouble speaking, because you're repeating syllables. You're trying to start a sentence and you keep having to repeat the first syllable, or making breath, repeating vowels, and it was a lot of a struggle. It was not easy. So yeah, it wasn't easy growing up. So that moment when I lifted the cups and I heard people gasp across the room, and I realized that it wasn't just that they saw me. I knew people saw me because I'd been picked on. So I knew I was seen. But I was understood. It wasn't even like I had an idea I was good, but it was like I did something with an intention, and somebody understood what my intention was. And I conveyed something, even if it was just, yes, these balls have appeared. But that was a breakthrough. Even if I wasn't fully conscious of it at the time, but I will never forget that moment and that feeling of because I tricked people. I had people show astonishment before, but this was different. There was something different, because I knew it wasn't just that, they saw something cool. It's that they, across the room, could understand me. And that hadn't happened before, it felt like. So, yeah, when I say that I wouldn't be here without magic, I mean it. I don't think I would have survived. And I don't say that lightly. And I say that because I know it's not that magic isn't magic. But yeah, I had depression, and adolescence is not easy. So no, I know that had I not been able to start making those connections and breakthroughs, and to be able to actually start communicating with people on a level like that, I wouldn't be here. I don't think I would. And so when I say magic saved my life, I mean it. And because of that, and all the other reasons I mentioned, magic will always be special to me. And I hope that I can convey that and make other people feel like magic is somewhat special to them, even if just a little. All right, that that got a little bit heavier than I was anticipating, But yeah, that is a little bit more about me and the magic and Tourette's. And yeah. All right. I hope you guys enjoy. And if you liked it, hit like. And hopefully I can share a little bit more with you about my magic journey and what I'm doing. And hopefully you like my magic and stuff, so subscribe. It feels so weird to say that after talking like that, but yeah. Hopefully I'll have some more stuff for you soon. All right? Peace out.